And I have never been so humiliated in all my life. Are we back? OBS, are you done having conniptions?
My internet was stopped working on my phone for a second there too.
There might have been an internet hiccup in the process, so that might have been part of the problem.
Yeah. It's working now though.
Are we back? Can everybody hear me? Yeah, hell of a hiccup. It might be possible too, because OBS gets this way sometimes with me when I have like a pending update that like Microsoft has an update happening. I don't see anything down here on my list of things in my taskbar. But yeah, it gets like this sometimes with me when there's an update that's happening. So yes, OBS wanted to flex its comedic timing. Absolutely. Well, you didn't miss anything, I don't think. There's one last thing to do, like I said, and that was go home and fall into bed. Excuse me. So we mostly just fast traveled off screen to get to Diamond City, and that was when I saw the disconnect. So, all right, buddy, we made it. Let's go home. Or not.
You gotta listen. Mayor McDonough. I saw him with one of those Institute synths.
Oh, God damn it, I knew there was something I forgot to do.
He's one of them.
I should have told Piper.
Oh, God. What do we do now?
You can stop standing around. Someone get a doctor.
Doctor, huh? I'm a medic 3.
Excuse me.
2 slugs in the gut, plus the fall from the elevator. I ain't gonna make it.
You're gonna make it, Danny.
Quick. Take this stim pack.
Thank you.
It'll give you 80% of your HP back. Just stick it right in the bullet wound.
I'm just gonna stay here for a bit.
You should. You should take it easy. You can also go get Dr. Sun, and he'll come over here and take care of things as well.
Excuse me.
The chapel's always open if you need us.
I might need you after this, because I have to go commit a crime. A crime in this city, though the mayor seems to have committed a few crimes himself. Come on, buddy. You gonna make it? We gotta go quick, so if you're gonna get in the elevator, get in quick. Come on. That's it. Good boy. Yeah, we're not done with the murder just yet. We have to fix the mayor's wagon, you see. So let's go fix the mayor's wagon, shall we?
Congratulations, you won. I hope you break your foot trying to kick that door down.
Ugh, damn it, it won't budge.
Well, Piper, you don't need to do that. Just hit the button down here.
I can't believe it.
Piper, can we have this conversation later? After the...
The Institute
It's not working.
Do you
There.
know what this means?
I know it means the mayor's in here. Let's talk about it later, Piper.
You'll never take me alive. This is my city.
Oh.
Mine.
Okay, hold on. We have to go back. Really? It's gonna kick me all the way back there? Seriously? I can't... The reason why I wanted to do this quest is because there's a very specific line of dialogue that you can say to the mayor, and it felt so appropriate to Charlotte's character, so I absolutely, positively have to say it. I will quite literally reload my save. I will stop time and go backwards if we need to in order to do this properly. Because apparently OBS isn't the only one that's deciding to fuck with me now. Now the game's fucking with me. I said it was falling apart at the seams at the beginning of the day, didn't I? Let's try this again.
Just to make God wait a little longer.
You gotta listen. Mayor McDonough. I saw him with one of those Institute
Having him draw a
synths.
gun kind of ruins that
Piper
dialogue.
was
Yeah,
right.
just a little bit, yeah.
He's one
I
of
think
them.
what happened was Piper's dialogue about the Institute being gone interfered with the quest somehow, honestly.
Someone get a doctor.
You know what I'm gonna do? Hang on. Let me talk to Danny first, then tell him hold on.
2 slugs in the gut.
I don't know if me giving him a stim pack had an effect on it either. That's possible, because Pastor Clemens didn't have the proper dialogue there either.
Hold on. I'll be back.
Not
So,
much else I can do.
like, he's supposed to say something about, like, oh, thank God, I hope he'll make a full recovery or something
Should
like
someone
that.
get a doctor? He doesn't look good.
I'm working on it, Jesus.
Doctor, come quick. Danny Sullivan's been shot.
What? Someone's injured? I'll be right there. Excuse me, I have to work.
Yeah, put your concoction down, please, so you can come save his life. Please? Doctor? Yeah, maybe go at more than a brisk walk. He's going to die. This is why I didn't want to do this option, because he walks over like a light saunter.
For the mayor twice. He was with
Hold
the
on,
Institute
Danny.
this whole
Let's
time.
get you patched up.
Thanks, Doc.
All right, there we go.
Pastor?
Thank you.
Okay.
God willing, he'll make a full recovery.
That's the correct dialogue, so that's good. Let's try this again, shall we? Dogmeat, get in the elevator before the mayor. You know what? Stay down there with Danny, actually. I can't wait. I don't want the mayor to do this again. Let me quick save right here, actually. Yeah, I should make a quick save. You read my mind. I need to make a quick save before the game does something dumb again. Yeah. I wanted the dialogue to run through,
Yes, Piper.
so let's just do this. Oh, good, you got up here anyway.
I hope you break your foot trying to kick that door down.
Ugh, damn it won't budge.
Okay. There. Now.
That's far enough.
Help me! He's crazy!
I am not just going to be discarded and tossed to the wolves. I'm the mayor, goddammit!
What makes you think you're being discarded as... I mean, I guess the Institute can't take you back now.
Discarded. The Institute didn't want you back?
No, before the explosion, they sent some discount messenger to tell me I've outlived my usefulness.
Uh-huh.
Now, I'll tell you what's going to happen next. I'm walking out of this city, unharmed, with my dignity intact.
You're not getting off the hook that easy, McDonough. You have to answer for what you've done.
I'm either walking out of the city a free man, or I'm killing as many of you disgusting, filthy savages as I can.
That seems like a hell of a binary deal. What do you think you're gonna do out there?
What are you gonna do then, McDonough?
I can't go back to the Institute. I can't stay here, but I'm a man of resourcefulness. I'll make my way. Just let me
Yeah,
know.
uh-huh.
Hasn't there been enough bloodshed? Think about poor Mr. Sullivan.
Actually, Mr. Sullivan will survive his injuries. As for you...
You're gonna stand trial, and these people are gonna have justice.
Lord knows you've got plenty to answer for.
Trial? Please. You know how these people feel about sins. I won't be stuck in a prison while they gloat.
Alright, now if I recall correctly... Yeah. There's a glitch with this quest. You have to let Piper get a hit marker first. Before you shoot. There. She got a hit marker, I think. Because see how he's blue like this? So if you... Did you actually hit him? Piper, can you shoot? Thank you. If you do it before that, it might still happen here because he's still considered blue. Basically, Geneva will get up and start shooting at you. So, we're gonna have to see if that's the case. Okay, she didn't.
Can't say
Good.
McDonough didn't deserve worse, but
But yeah, basically, Piper has to get the first hit or else
Without a
Geneva
mayor,
will get up and
council
start
would
shooting
be
you,
just
even though she's the hostage.
let's hope they do a better job.
There's a city
I don't
council?
know if people are gonna be ready for another
Since when?
general election. Not gonna be soon, that's for sure. But at least now Diamond City will finally have the truth.
Yeah, I probably should have, you know, told you the truth before I went off and did everything else. I've been quite busy, you see,
I
Piper.
can carry something if you need me to.
Nah, that's good. I'll just take the bottle caps from his, ashes.
Hey, Geneva.
My God, he almost killed me.
Yeah, but you're okay now. Just, you know, take it easy. Take some breaths. Go to Pastor Clements or the doctor if you need to. As for me... We're done. Finally. Dogmeat, are you gonna... Okay. You stay there then, buddy. You just go down the elevator and come back around like you did. Yeah, he's a robot of resourcefulness. He could have very well been, but he was not. Because now he's dead. Okay, now it's time to fall into bed. So let's go back home. Just hang in there, Danny. Doctor will take care of it.
Twice. He was with the Institute this whole time.
Who needs a haircut?
As far as we know, yes, he was with the Institute this whole time. Okay. That's that. You know, since they gave me the jetpack, let's take a look at what it looks like. I probably just stuck the wrong fusion core into this, that one that's like full, but that's okay. Let's stick the jetpack on, and then we'll call it a day. Although, you know, thinking about it, I engraved my previous stuff with my married name, Charlotte Berrigan. My family is kind of gone at this point. Maybe I should engrave this with her maiden name instead, especially since I sold those wedding rings. As to the question of what we're doing next, well, there's probably going to be a lot of truce stuff to do with between the Brotherhood and the Minutemen, getting them all, you know, set together and stuff. Oh, I have to take the motion assist servos off to put the jetpack on, don't I? Yes, I do. Oh, well. That's fine. We can always just switch between them. But once all that's done, I think it's about time we take a vacation. Maybe we can go out west. Before the war, Charlotte did have an eccentric uncle that lived out that way. Maybe she can see if there's any remnants left of that pack of family. Jetpack, yes. Let me show you what it does, and then we'll call it a day. Of course, I forgot to engrave it, but we can engrave it once we're done flying around all over the place. So, jetpack. I think, yeah, you hold space, and you can fly. As long as you have enough AP to do it. I probably need to, like, chug a Nuka-Cola Quantum while I'm at it, but I can fly up to the roof of my house while I'm at it. So there you go. Yeah, there's a lot to do, but we'll take care of it. And then, like I said, maybe we'll take a trip out west to see if there's any remnants of her maiden name, which we will have to carve into this jetpack because we didn't carve it into that. What was her maiden name? Well, they were going to put it on the side of the law practice once she opened her own practice with a few of her friends before the war, but never happened, so I guess we could just tell you now. House. Charlotte House was her maiden name. And that's the game, everybody. Let me mute this before I get a copyright strike again. A false one at that. And we'll play through the crew, which is the credits. Hold on, before the crew shows up. So, like I said, I have can't play the actual music here because there's false copyright strikes that play in this part. So I have a compromise on how we can do this. Yes, what a twist. Probably won't actually make any difference because when we finally play New Vegas, she won't be showing up again because that happens before 4, but you know. Want to set up the Tale of Two Wastelands at some point and replay the adventures of Sixer? Yeah, there you go. That'll be fun. Note you just noticed the red symbol on fusion cores looks like the Millennium Eye from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. And now we'll never be able to unsee it. So here's the compromise that I have for all of you. I have the Fallout 4 OST, a link to it right here. I'm going to put that in the chat in a moment so that all of you can listen to it while I'm doing my little monologue. But before I do my little monologue, there's another song that honestly I think is more appropriate for the male Soul Survivor, but it's a song that's not in the game's licensed music list. I will leave a link to it now. Hold on, I gotta wait a second so that shows up there. That should be enough time. Basically, you can listen to that. That's the theme, the ending licensed music theme song for this. The My Hands of Final Fantasy XIII of Fallout 4. At least in my opinion. Again, it's not on the official soundtrack, but that's my opinion about this thing. And then after you are done listening to that, you can swap over to the Fallout 4 OST playlist, which, by the way, I found out is kind of silly. It was officially uploaded by Einon Zur, the actual soundtrack producer of this game, the composer. Here's the playlist. And the first track is the main theme of the game, and it has also been hit with a false copyright strike and taken down from YouTube because it says that it's unavailable and hidden in the playlist. And if the person who composed the track cannot upload it without getting a false copyright strike, you know some crazy shit is happening with YouTube's copyright system. Like, that ain't fucking right, okay? YouTube working as usual, yes, absolutely. Anyway, that's the game, everybody. That's Fallout 4. Game was, and OBS were really trying to give me a run for my money at the very end of things, but there it is. So, I think the best way that I can describe my thoughts on Fallout 4 is I'm conflicted. Like, there are things about it that I do enjoy quite a bit, and there's probably just as many things about it that just make me put my head in my hands and wonder what the hell they were thinking. So, like, I don't know, man. I feel like the best way I can say it is just be like, no, it's all right, and we can just end the stream there, but I'll extrapolate a little bit on it. There's good and there's bad with some of the things. I guess the easiest one I can talk about is the music, because, again, I do think that the music in this game is very solid. I think Einon Zur did a solid job of producing the soundtrack of the game. Excuse me. But, on the other hand, you can't hear the fucking soundtrack half the time because it's all licensed and copyright restricted. So you have to end up doing things like what I did, where you take all the licensed music out of the game because I'm playing it to distribute it on a stream, and I still get hit with false copyright strikes despite that, because Einon Zur's contributions to the soundtrack are, well, they're not all copyright restricted. I think a decent chunk of them don't have distribution restrictions like the main theme does, but the main theme is heavily safeguarded for copyright distribution. There's like, when I got the strikes on those first two videos of the first two stream archives for this, it was like 8 separate countries, their copyright distribution networks hit me with a claim. I didn't get to know that until I contacted YouTube support about it, because I said, okay, so there's this person on there that's falsely claiming copyright on it. What do I do about it? And they said, well, actually, this was claimed by 9 separate people, and also all of the ones that you didn't just list are legitimate. So basically, because the other ones are legitimate, the one that's false is upheld. Makes no fucking sense, but anyway. Yeah, it's a good soundtrack, but it's hard to hear any of it in a situation like this because I have to mute so much of it. And that's unfortunate, because I think Einon Zur did a good job with it. So Metroid's thoughts are it's a very mixed bag, but you still enjoy it overall. And that's fair. I think I'm a little harder on it than that. I don't feel like I enjoy it. Like, enjoy is a whole category for me. And I don't feel like the game quite gets there for me, but I'll keep going so I can talk about the why of it. Probably one of the things that I've talked about in previous games that have been open world sandboxes, I guess the main time when I've talked about it was when we were playing Yakuza 0. Open world or sandbox games, by design, encourage the player to explore and find small things in the world and have an easier time telling stories organically, at least in my opinion, than telling stories that are compelling, linear, high stakes. You can still do it in a game, but oftentimes it happens on a smaller scale than a wide scale like this game's story happens in. And the way that this game's story works is it has this premise that's fairly compelling. Your son's been kidnapped, go find him. You have this gigantic open world where this is happening, but they kind of, with the story, they sort of railroad you from one place to another. Hell, it's to the point where they give you objective markers on the same floor as where you're going. Like, the worst offender to me is in, like, Park Street Station, where you're going to find Nick Valentine. They keep pointing you with floating objective markers in the only direction that you can go and not hit a dead end. Like, I don't need you to point me to that, guys. Like, there's only one path in here. I can find it for myself. And, like, it's not even just that either. Like, there's other stuff that happens too. Like, the glowing sea, I think, is a very missed opportunity there too, because I feel like that could have been a point where there's just no objective markers whatsoever in that place. Because if you look at the map for the glowing sea, the player's eye is naturally drawn towards the giant crater inside of it. And naturally, that's going to be either the part that players walk directly towards because it's where the bombs hit, or they're going to avoid it like the plague and find what they're looking for anyway. So I think in the process of finding Virgil, they could have said no objective markers, period. Because it disrupts objective markers on the Pipboy or something. It disrupts radio transmissions anyway, so just make some shit up and say it disrupts the ability for the Pipboy to place an objective marker, so that you're not just directed exactly where you need to go. You know, like there's plenty of opportunities to give the player time to wander around. Hell, the game does that sometimes, like with the Minutemen quests, where you need to wait 3 days for Ronnie Shaw to show up. The game gives you an opportunity to wander the world and find something to do while you're waiting. But what ends up happening is, because of the fact that the game's story tries to supersede the organic storytelling of the open world and the sandbox, there are locations on the map that you just never really have a compelling reason to visit because the stakes are too high with finding your son, or stopping him from causing problems, or joining him in causing problems that the Institute can create a better world, a worse world, whatever have you. It's too high stakes for Bethesda to do that in an open world, where I think they're better at telling a story through the open world and through that organic sense of discovery. Now, there still needs to be some sort of a glue to keep all that together, otherwise you just have a series of disparate locations that don't really interact with each other. But you don't need like a huge, very specific story like the one that they have here, because it kind of feels like you're trying to do two things, and you end up doing both of them half-ass as a result of it, because you split your attention to one or the other, you know what I mean? So it ends up feeling like it takes away from the whole game, basically, design-wise, because the story doesn't agree with the open world structure, and it's hard for them to mesh together. So, yeah, you know, I don't know. It just, yeah, they do very clearly show you where to go. It's hand-holdy. It's no Fallout 3 train tunnels. Yeah, those were some mazes sometimes, for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it does some things. Like I said, one of the things I said in Yakuza 0 when we were talking about the sandbox is that the game needed to give you some time to breathe so you could go do some of the side stories in between the main missions, because the main scenario of Yakuza 0 was very compelling. I had a little bit more praise for Yakuza 0 because there was a lot more about it that I enjoyed than I did in this one. So I couldn't overlook that with Yakuza 0, but it was about the only thing I didn't like about it, if I'm honest. With Fallout 4, it's kind of harder because, again, it feels like the game's being pulled in two separate directions from a designed perspective. And I don't know, the way I see it, it could have been like, okay, so this might be like similar to how it was in Fallout 1, if I remember correctly, but it's like, okay, so your vault is like historians or something, and you're trying to keep an archive of all of the things that have happened since the war, and so they send out people to be runners that look at the places that you go, and your decisions and the places that you visit determine how active the vault is on the surface with the people who are interacting with the surface. I don't know. Like, there's multiple ways they could have spun it so that the storytelling and the exploration became the primary focus while still having a glue story to keep things together. But they didn't end up doing that. They wanted to have this huge, high-stakes, compelling story of finding your kidnapped son, and honestly, I'm not sure if it really landed completely for me on its feet. It feels like in some places they stumbled with it quite a bit. By the end of the game, it feels like in a lot of cases, like after Bunker Hill, it feels like the plot kind of fell apart a little bit, in my opinion. Like, it feels like, and that might be my fault as well, because I kind of did a whole bunch of different things at that point. Like, I swapped allegiances about 3 times there, so that might be my fault, but I don't know. It just felt like the plot didn't have the oomph to get itself across the finish line until later. But I don't know. Overall, it's like, it feels kind of similar in a lot of the other stuff. Like, we talked about the story kind of as a result of talking about the level design. The characters, there are some that I like. There's some that I don't. There are some that I feel like have missed potential. There are some where I don't even understand. Like, we left the Pridwin after talking to Maxon and getting Sentinel, you could have gone up into the actual like flight tunnels area where your barracks are and everything, and where Brandis normally is. I don't think he's there though if he survives, or if he is, I don't think he has any new dialogue. You could go up there and talk to a bunch of people, but if you go up there, you could talk to Proctor Ingram, and she gets really upset at the fact that you... Like, she talks to you about another quest where you go get reactor coolant for her, and you're like, oh, you didn't have enough or something? And she gets really fucking pissed off at you for no reason. It's like, whoa, did you not sleep at all last night? I mean, I know there was a big operation, but holy hell, Ingram, don't bite my head off about it. But the worst problem is, and the one that I was trying actively to avoid after the fact, is Dr. Madison Lee. Oh boy, she's a character in this one. I don't know, it feels like she's so poorly utilized. It's like they have her as a scientist in the Institute, she followed her beliefs to go there, and it feels like she's kind of wishy-washy. She flips pretty easily, like too easily in my opinion. That's the sort of thing where it should... Seriously, guys? Where it should have been like a quest or two before she finally says, okay, I get what you're saying. That's a lot of evidence. Maybe I'll defect. But then, after the Institute is destroyed, if you destroy it with... I don't know if it's just the Brotherhood ending or if you do it with any of the endings that are non-Institute. She basically yells at you for not finding peace with the Institute. And it's like, you know, boy, Ingram, I would have done that if it was a fucking option. I hate when games do that, where they yell at you for something that you had no control over. Like, you're yelling at me for something that the designers chose not to do in the story. Why am I taking the heat for this? Fuck off! Like, come on. What else? Yeah, I don't know. It feels like, in a way, like... I feel like it's ambitious the way that they designed the world map, too, in this game. Like, they have all these high rises, and there's a lot more verticality to the fighting. People are on different levels from you. And I feel like that's ambitious of them to do. I just feel like in some way the engine wasn't ready for it, because the further along you get in this game, the longer load times end up being, especially in Boston Common. I had to avoid Boston Common as much as possible, because as you saw when we were doing the Cabot House quest, sometimes it took upwards of 90 seconds to load Boston Common outside of Cabot House. It would have been worse had I loaded up in, say, the combat zone or near Swan's Pond. It's tough to play this game for a long, long period of time, because the further you go, the more it sort of peels apart at the seams of itself, you know? I don't know, it's just... I like what they had there, but I really wish that the game wasn't so, like, yeah, it gets really bloated. Yeah, I really wish that the game didn't get so bloated with its save. Like, find a different way to render things or something, so that maybe the tops of the buildings aren't, like, fully rendered when you're walking near them or something. Like, don't render the tops until I'm up there, you know? I don't know, but they needed to find some other rendering technique so that it didn't take as long to load and the save didn't get as astronomically large as it does. I would need to check how large the save files are for this game, but I can't imagine it being any smaller than some of the stuff that happened with Skyrim or Fallout 3 on the PS3, so I don't know. Welcome to being at the customer-facing level. I'm sorry L3 has your ticket and is sitting on it for upwards of 3 weeks. Why are you upset at me? Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I don't know. Overall, there was more that I wanted to do with Fallout 4, but it's tough, again, because of the save bloat thing, because of the load times and all that stuff, and just because of the fact that I was honestly ready at this point to kind of say, okay, I feel like I'm done with this project. So, it's mixed for me, and I think it's about even, so I'd probably just say it's alright. I feel like if you want a similar experience to what Fallout 4 gives you, you can kind of get it in other spots. I feel like I'm a little bit biased because I feel like Jeremy Soul's Skyrim soundtrack, I actually like that a little bit better than Ion Zur's. I know I just talked a lot about it, but it's a good soundtrack. I just think that Jeremy Soul's Skyrim soundtrack, for me, is the better of the two. I think Skyrim's world is also the better of the two for me because it feels... I don't know, there's just something about riding a horse through the wilderness in Skyrim that just makes me feel like, wow, this is here, you know what I mean? This is just this expansive land, and it's all mine to explore. There's just something about it that just always gets me. And Fallout 4 sort of has that, but I don't think it does it quite as well as Skyrim does. So you could play Skyrim. if you want that sort of an effect. If you want something similar to the Fallout experience, you don't even have to play Fallout 4, honestly. You could probably get something similar to this out of... Well, I'd like to cite The Outer Worlds because it's a game that we've already played. That one's in space, to be fair, so it's a little bit different from Post-Apocalypse, which is what this one is, but I don't know, it just feels like in some cases there's other games you could play to get a similar experience to this without having to deal with some of the stuff Fallout 4 does. So, yeah, there's a reason Skyrim got released about 17 times. It is very good. I do enjoy it quite a bit, yes. So, Wasteland 3 is the best Fallout game. I've never even heard of Wasteland 3. Maybe I'll have to look into it. What was I trying to have this thought link into? Oh, yeah, that's what I was trying to do. So what I was trying to say here was basically, okay, so, you know, I've talked about this with Fallout 4. I've said it's all right. I've said that you can probably get the experience somewhere else without having to deal with all of its stuff. What does Fallout 4 have that makes it stand out? And I am pleased to say that it has Dogmeat. I think still, honestly, genuinely, to go out on a high note, and to kind of link this back to the reason why I did this project to begin with, I think Dogmeat is one of the most well-realized animals in any video game that I've ever played. He's just such a dog. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but he is so similar to a dog in real life. They did an incredible job programming him to make him feel like the video game equivalent of a dog. He never really feels like he's in Uncanny Valley in any way. It's just really good what they did with him, and I'm very glad for it, even though, I mean, there were some times where he'd, like, you know, run into the way of my bullets or something like that, but it's like, whatever, that's just Bethesda things, you know, it just happens. But Dogmeat himself is great. I think they did an excellent job with programming him and making him very much a companion to the main character. And that's great because my companion, my German Shepherd, Jaeger, who passed away last year, was the reason why I did this project. This is in his memory, and I'm pleased to say that the dog in this game behaves in a very similar, kind of goofy way to how Jaeger behaved in real life. He was gone too early, and honestly, this playthrough is gone too early because there is other things that I'd like to do in this game, but I don't really want to deal with the save bloat or the glitching or the bugs, so. But I am glad to say that the game came through with Dogmeat and made, you know, him as reliable of a companion as my German Shepherd was to me. So there you go. You're about to redeem that stream suggestion right now. Like, holy. Not too long before you probably are pretty close to the chromatin amount at this point, Metroid, for how long you've been in the chat with us, so. If you want, you can wait until the next episode to redeem it, because we're about to head out, because that's it for Fallout 4, the Stream Edition. I'll leave an asterisk on my list of things that I said about it, because I said it was all right, but if you did enjoy aspects of this, and you're willing to give it more of a shot than I did, I personally do enjoy both the Automatron and the Far Harbor DLCs in this game. I've done both of them pretty much to completion. I've done all of Automatron and almost all of Far Harbor myself, and they're both very good. They basically, like I said, take the weaknesses of this game and kind of shore them up somewhat. There are still some weaknesses that are there, but they're not nearly as pronounced, and the strengths are kind of played to as well. So, while adding a few things that makes it feel more, sorry for lack of a better word, but New Vegas-y. That's the way that I've heard a lot of people describe Far Harbor, so. You'll give me the elevator pitch on Discord real quick? All right, sounds like a plan. In the meantime, like I said, that's it for Fallout 4, the Stream Edition. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Apologies for all of the silent screens that we've had to listen through because, again, copyright is a bitch with this game, apparently. And it's actively hindering some of my thoughts on this game. And I know that's not the game's fault, but it is still hindering it somewhat. This is like the community thing with Devil May Cry 5 a little bit, but different person to blame. Anyway, thank you for watching, everybody. I appreciate you coming out to Twitch and YouTube to check out the stream. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed Fallout 4, the Stream Edition. It was alright for me. You know, it was okay. We'll move on to my PS3 projects and finally get started with those on Thursday's stream at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Until then, everybody, or wherever I see you next around the internet, I hope that you'll take care and have a good one. Now the real question, This garage has been staring at us the entire game from the home screen. Where's my boy? He's got to be here somewhere, right?